So today we are going to look at the RTX 3060 Ti. This arguably is the best product Nvidia came up in the last generation, and it does make sense because this thing is the most popular RTX GPU ever made. Like if you look at the Steam hardware survey charts, this thing sold almost as many units as the RTX 2060 Super and is very close to the GTX 1060. It's like amongst the top 5 or 6 cards out there. So why are people buying this? Because it can play games at 1080p, at 1440p and even at 4K. It's more powerful than the GPU inside the PlayStation 5. And I mean, look at this thing. It is barely bigger than this 1650 over here. Yes, it is a bit longer, but hey, the Zotac card is a bit thinner. So yeah, I mean, it is efficient. It does not draw a lot of power. I mean, you have a single 8-pin power connection over here, so you'll not face a lot of issues with the wires. It doesn't require high-end CPUs or high-end power supplies, and it is small. It can fit in micro ATX, ITX, and even big builds. So I guess the 3060 Ti is really your number one option if you're trying to buy a GPU to get into gaming in 2023. Let's run this card through its paces and find out whether you should spend your hard-earned money behind the 3060 Ti. I mean, the 4060 will be launching within like a couple of months, so this thing is still the latest 60 plus performance GPU on the market. So should you wait for it or go for this one? Okay, so let's begin with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So 1440p DLSS is turned off for the first run, and everything else, I'll just set this to extreme over here pretty quick. Okay, let me apply it and let's go. Okay, so how much are we getting? It's 72, 70, okay, it's just dipped below 70, 60 frames per second. Yes, you're also getting 70 FPS, almost 80 if you're out of combat. So, I mean, at 1440p, this is pretty decent performance. I mean, Modern Warfare 2 is a pretty well optimized... Oh, I just got a kill over there. So, what I was saying, Modern Warfare 2 is a pretty well optimized game. So, when I turn on DLSS over here, you are not going to see a very noticeable difference in terms of performance. Okay, let's go for Ultra Performance because that is like the best case. And yeah, you can see that we are getting something around 85 frames per second. And that is not way higher than what we were getting. Plus, this is a search and destroy map, and I think I'll get obliterated by the enemies over here because SMG. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's just head over to 1080p for now, and I'll just scroll down. DLSS will be turned on for the first run. Everything else is set to the extreme preset. So yeah, let's check the performance. Okay, we are getting over 100 frames over here, and that is pretty sweet. So if you're playing at 1080p, you can definitely go for competitive gaming in Call of Duty. That is completely possible with this 3060 Ti. And I mean, okay, we are playing Domination. Okay, oh my goodness. Okay, that guy had a huge armor over here. But yeah, we are playing Domination and we are getting pretty good FPS. Okay, let's just turn off DLSS for the second run and search and destroy again. Okay, so turning off DLSS kind of costs us 20% of our FPS. That is not a very big dip, especially considering that you are getting way higher image quality while turning off DLSS. Okay, so let's head over to CSGO for now. That was enough of Modern Warfare 2. 1440p, it pretty much the highest everything, and we're getting something like 300 frames on an average. Okay, it's dropping below 300 right now. I mean, the performances will kind of vary in this entire benchmark. There are more intensive sections, less intensive sections, but I mean, 300 FPS in a game like this is always more than enough. You can definitely buy like a high refresh rate monitor and get everything out of it. Okay, let's go for 1080p. You can see that the performance dip is not that much. We are still getting something like 280 to 90 frames per second. Probably it will go like 250 within a few seconds. But yeah, I mean, no, it doesn't matter if you're playing at 1080p or 1440p. CSGO is going to give you a solid performance. Okay, let's move over to Cyberpunk. 1440p for the first run, and we are looking at no DLSS. Okay, everything else is set to the highest. Ray tracing is turned on for the first run. We have set this to ultra. Okay, oh my goodness, yeah, 22 frames per second. Oh my goodness, this is barely playable. I mean, yeah, I mean, I won't recommend you to play a game at 20 FPS. So definitely we are going to turn on DLSS. Let's just set this to ultra performance to get the best case. You can always go for quality, balanced, whatever to get a 30 FPS. Alright, we are getting 60 FPS almost, yeah, 63, 62 over there. So ultra performance is what you'll need if you want to get like 60 FPS in this game. But again, there are a lot of shimmerings. Like you are basically rendering the game at 480p. So I'll just turn off DLSS for now and turn off ray tracing, because I think that is what makes more sense. And yeah, look at it, we are still getting 60 frames per second, but we have way higher image quality. Plus, you know, ray tracing really does not play that much of a role in terms of defining how the visuals look. I mean, yeah, it's good technology, obviously there are some plus points, but it's not hell and heaven. Okay, let's go for 1080p for the next run. I'll just head over to the graphics section over here, and okay, everything is set to the highest like it was. Ray tracing will be turned off for the first run, no DLSS. Okay, so we're getting over 70 frames per second. So if you're playing at 1080p, I mean, a 3060 Ti is more than enough, even for the most demanding games on the market. Obviously, we are not using ray tracing, which is what Cyberpunk is known for. But again, you can still see how good this game looks, and you are getting over 75 frames per second. What more can you want? Okay, talking about ray tracing, let's just give this a try. And again, we are dipping below 30 frames per second. Okay, it has gained above 30 frames per second, but hey, you will not be in the alley areas like for the entirety of the game. You cannot play like this. If the like, look at the 0.1 and 1% low numbers, they are abysmal. Okay, so I think I'll just give a DLSS a shot. Let's just see how much you can gain. And we are at almost 55 frames per second there. So yeah, almost 60. You can gain, like, this is 100% gain over here. Pretty impressive for DLSS too. But I think the picture quality took kind of a hit. I mean, definitely things don't look that sharp anymore. Okay, that was enough of Cyberpunk. Let's sort of head over to Hogwarts. For the first run, we are going for 1440p. Recommended settings, so everything is ultra. Ray tracing is turned off. And okay, let's see how much we get. Okay, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is 20 frames. Oh my goodness, this is so choppy. Okay, and I don't know why the game does this you know, buffering thing in like near every big door. It just completely destroys the immersion. Yeah, you can see like this big door over here. Yeah, look at the buffering, completely destroys the immersion. Okay, oh my goodness, we're down to 10 frames over there. What? Okay, 22. Look at the 0.1 and 1% low numbers. This is not playable. Okay, now we are in the herbarium. It's almost 60 frames per second. I mean, the performance is all over the place. It's 60 frames per second in one part of the school, and you know, 10 FPS just the adjacent part. Okay, I won't recommend you to play without DLSS if you're playing Hogwarts Legacy on a 3060 Ti. Let's just test ultra performance. You can choose performance, balance, whatever works for you. And we're somewhere over 45 frames per second. Okay, it's 30 now, but still it's not dipping below 30, right? I think if you want to play Hogwarts Legacy at 1440p with a 3060 Ti, you will have to rely on ultra performance. Okay, we're oh my goodness, yes. So we had a big stutter over there. Frame rates went down to 22. I mean, look at the 0.1 and 1% low numbers. Not impressive at all. Okay, so let's just, you know, scale down to 1080p and recommend the settings again. I'll just leave the ray tracing on for our initial run, and you can see it's not playable at all. I mean, 13 FPS, 14, 15, 16. Nah, this is too choppy. This is too choppy. You simply can't. I mean, this is with DLSS at 2 ultra performance. So basically the game is getting rendered at like what, 480p? You just cannot keep ray tracing turned on in this title. Okay, so I'll just okay, let's just turn off DLSS. Okay, all right, so this is 1080p, DLSS set to ultra performance. I don't know why this code yard is, oh my goodness, look at all those blurriness. DLSS is really not keeping up that well. But yeah, this is 1080p. This is DLSS set to ultra performance, and this code yard area is just so demanding. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's 9 frames over there, 10, 11. Hey, just don't play this game, okay, if you're getting a 3060 Ti. Alright, so let's just turn off ray tracing. Yeah, this is still way more playable. At least you're getting something like 40 FPS over there. I mean, if you're getting the 3060 Ti, I think you should just limit yourself to 1080p, no ray tracing, and probably turn the DLSS to quality to get like a decent FPS. This game is a mess. Now, ray tracing performance is a bit itchy on the 3060 Ti, right? It doesn't have a lot of RT cores, plus I mean 8GB of GDDR6 RAM. So yeah, it has a fair share of problems. I mean, Nvidia launched the 3060 with 12GB of RAM, so this card does have some caveats. But that doesn't mean that you cannot play the latest games with ray tracing turned on. I mean, games like Hogwarts Legacy and Cyberpunk are a bit problematic, as you just saw, but there are a few titles like Returnal where ray tracing is really just the same as
playing the game without it. Okay, so let's just go for 1440p first. DLSS will be set to performance for the first run, and everything else is set to the highest. Ray tracing is set to high, and yeah, let's run the benchmark. Yeah, so let's run the benchmark. Okay, so we are getting something like 50 FPS. Like this is with ray tracing set to high, but again DLSS is also turned on, so the game is getting rendered at 40dp, but you can barely tell it. I mean, this looks so sharp. DLSS works better in some games, I have to admit. Okay, so we're getting somewhere over 60 frames per second. This is, yeah, decent for a game like Returnal. You don't need 60 FPS in Returnal, to be honest. The gameplay, it looks very smooth. I mean, even the gameplay is quite smooth. So let's just try to turn DLSS off. Probably, let's see how far that gets us. Okay, so yeah, we have lost 20 frames. We are down to 40 right now. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty smooth. Like I told, you don't need 60 FPS in a game like Returnal. Even 30 FPS is fine. Like the PS4 Pro plays this game at 30 FPS. I mean, if you are getting a 1440p monitor, you can definitely play this game without DLSS, with ray tracing, and still maintain a good frame rate. Okay, let's just turn off DLSS for our control test. And yeah, I mean, 50 to 60, I think, yeah, it's below 50 right now. Yeah, 57. Yeah, the performance will kind of vary, but you'll get something between 50 to 60, even the higher 60s at times. And this is quite impressive. I mean, you don't need ray tracing, like I said before in the Cyberpunk benchmark. So like, even if you just kind of turn off DLSS, you can get a good performance without relying on any form of upscaling. Okay, let's just test 1080p for now. So just like last time, everything will be set to the highest. I'm not going to rely on ray tracing for the first test, because let's just give it a shot without ray tracing. Okay, yeah, so we are getting 90 frames per second at 1080p. That is a really decent number. Like also, we don't have ray tracing and no DLSS, so that is the point that you need to consider. But I mean, if you want to play this game at a higher frame rate, then 1080p is the way to go. You can definitely get a good frame rate. But yeah, again, the frame rate has dipped below 60 FPS, so it really depends on where you are. And that's quite similar to the 1440p results. Okay, so let's try F1 for now. So for the first test, it will be 1080p. Everything was set to the highest, including ray tracing and stuff, because this game is really not all that demanding. So we are getting something like, okay, Afterburner just kind of screwed up. I don't know why I'm seeing 4090 and 3080 Ti over there. Okay, we are getting something like 68 FPS on average, and yeah, we are getting over 70 FPS, so that is quite impressive. Okay, let's just turn on DLSS. I don't think we'll be gaining a whole lot, but still, let's give it a shot. I'll just set it to performance pretty quick, and yeah, like I told, we are not gaining a whole lot. We are still like around 74 FPS, 75. Yeah, so okay, let's just go ahead and turn this to 1440p. Everything else will be set to the highest. No DLSS for now, and RT is turned on. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the frame rate almost has gotten halved. And like, I won't say halved, you're losing like 20 frames. So for the next test, I'll keep DLSS turned on, and yeah, we are back to the numbers that we received in the 1080p test. So we are getting something like 20 frames per second more, and I think that is a decent gain. Okay, that was enough of F1. Let's head over to Fortnite for now. So everything else is set to the highest. So we are playing at 1080p, no DLSS and no ray tracing for the first run, and we are getting something like what? 46, 47. I mean, Fortnite has gotten way more intensive with the Chapter 3 update. Okay, I think I'm going to die. Oh my goodness, there is one more guy over there. Okay, yeah, I didn't die. Okay, we'll just test it with DLSS set to performance once, and yeah, we are still not getting 60 frames per second consistently. It's still okay. It dipped down to 43 frames over there, but we're still back. Fortnite has gotten way more intensive. You need a better graphics card now to play this game. Okay, let's just set DLSS to performance, and let's turn on RT. I mean, you can see that the difference is not that much. We are like barely getting 5 to 6 frames per second. That is because, you know, Nanite and Lumen is kind of intensive on hardware. I mean, yeah, still hardware accelerated ray tracing is the king, but I mean, Nanite and Lumen will take a toll. Alright, so let's just head over to 1440p, no DLSS, but RT will be turned on. Okay, yeah, it's below 30 FPS, we cannot play like this. So I'll just turn on DLSS pretty quick and set it to performance, and woo, we are back to 60 FPS. Yeah, 54, 55 over there, 56. This is quite playable. And obviously DLSS performance doesn't even look half as bad like it was looking in Hogwarts Legacy and other games like that. This is quite playable. I mean, you can definitely win matches like this, and 60 FPS is kind of enough for this game. So for the next test, I'm just going to turn DLSS to performance and turn off RT, and yeah, we are still getting like 60 frames over there. It's kind of impressive. because the 3060 Ti was not developed to be a 1440p gaming card, right? 1440p gaming is for the 3070. The 3060 Ti was basically a 1080p gaming card. So yeah, I mean, these results are impressive. Okay, so next game is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 1440p, no DLSS, no ray tracing for the first test. Let's see how much we are getting. Okay, I mean, okay, 100 frames on average, and we are getting somewhere around 69, 67, 68. Okay, this is good performance, to be honest. Like, this is 1440p, right? You're still not using ray tracing, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider's ray tracing implementation is not all that difficult. So yeah, I'm just going to show this. Set ray tracing to ultra. You can see that we are still getting somewhere around 50 frames. The average is around 76 to 77. Like, this is still playable. You are not using any form of upscaling, so that is a huge plus point. The game looks very sharp, and ray tracing does its magic. Yeah, I think the game basically has ray tracing shadows and stuff. It's not all that demanding. Okay, so I'm just going to turn on the DLSS for now, and you'll see that we are like recovering all of the frames that we lost while turning ray tracing on. So yeah, it's somewhere around the mid 60s over here. The average FPS is mid 80s. Very playable. So for the next test, let's just scale down to 1080p. DLSS will still be set to performance. Ray tracing will be turned to ultra. Yeah, we are getting, yeah, I mean, the hit is not all that much. We are still in the mid 60s. Average FPS is somewhere around the mid 80s. So yeah, I mean, if you have a 1440p monitor, choosing for the higher resolution will not impact your performance. I'm just going to turn DLSS off, and you can see that we are, whoa, what's happening? We are getting a higher frame rate with DLSS turned off. I think this probably is a bug. Probably DLSS is not working, probably. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's head over to The Witcher 3. We are at 1440p. Ray tracing is turned off for this round. DLSS is to performance. Okay, let me just show you the different settings. So everything else is kind of set to the highest. We are not really using a lot of ambient occlusion over there. NVIDIA here works. Okay, I'll just turn this thing on because it looks kind of cool, and it really doesn't hurt performance a lot. So okay, yeah, high looks good. Everything else is set to Ultra Plus. So this is the remastered version of this game. Ultra Plus contains better and bigger textures. Okay, so how much are we getting? It's mid 50s, yeah, kind of 50 FPS. With DLSS set to performance, the game really doesn't look that bad. I mean, it kind of still looks quite sharp. Okay, so let's just turn on ray tracing, because ray tracing is like really demanding in this game. So let's see how the 3060 Ti keeps up. Okay, we have not really lost a huge frame rate. We're still getting something around mid 30s, which is enough for a game like The Witcher 3. So let's just turn down to 1080p. I'll head over to the graphics settings. Ray tracing is turned off, DLSS is also turned off, and we are getting somewhere around 50 frames in this game. And that is, yeah, I mean, without ray tracing, the game does take a visual hit, but yeah, I mean, it's not bad. You can totally play it without DLSS, without RT, like the vanilla version at 1080p, and still get like a decent experience. The game is extremely smooth. The 0.1 and 1% low numbers look good. So yeah, I mean, this is playable. Okay, our next game is A Plague Tale Requiem. 1080p, DLSS is set to performance. The game is going to look like poop. Everything else is set to ultra. Oh my goodness, yikes. Yeah, that is a bit of shimmering. Everything doesn't look sharp. It kind of looks like, blurred out. But I mean, look at the performance. We're getting 80 plus frames, and yeah, 60 plus frames in this segment. I mean, A Plague Tale can get a bit more demanding than whatever you're seeing over here, because this is basically no combat, literally no characters, extra NPCs and stuff like that. You'll probably end up getting somewhere around 70 FPS on an average in this title, and I think that is pretty playable. Okay, so I'll just turn off DLSS pretty quick. You don't need to rely on DLSS to get a good experience in this title, and yeah, we are getting somewhere around 47, 48 FPS, yeah, almost 50. And that is enough for a game like this. You can totally play it at 1080p without any form of upscaling at the highest settings without any hiccups. So let's just head over to 1440p. Everything else will be set to the ultra, no DLSS, and yeah, I mean, over 30 FPS. We are averaging at 45, so the experience will be quite good even if you do not rely on any form of upscaling and try to just bump up the resolution to 1440p. Definitely playable, and this is extremely impressive. Okay, so let's just turn on DLSS to ultra performance and kind of get what is the best case. And we are averaging at 80 FPS, and our current FPS is 60. So that is basically 1080p level performance without DLSS. And I think it's pretty decent. I mean, if you want to play at 1440p, this card is really a very solid choice.
Okay, so overall the 3060 Ti can literally handle anything, starting from some modest games like CSGO to the latest and the most demanding on the market. So you cannot go wrong with this card. Plus this thing has gotten way cheaper than when it was launched. I mean, I have seen the 3060 Ti selling for over $1,000 or 80,000 Indian rupees. But these days you can get one for around 22 to 23,000 Indian rupees. That's like around $300, probably even less in the USA or UK. And in the new, it's selling for around 35 to 40, so around $400 in the United States. So this thing is really value for money. Like for this money, you can obviously get like a 6700 or the 6700 XT from AMD, which is obviously more powerful than a 3060 Ti. But if you're looking for better ray tracing performance and DLSS 2, which obviously clearly is much better than AMD FSR 2, this is your option. I mean, it is the most popular modern GPU on the market, and clearly there are reasons why. So if you have the cash, go for this guy. Definitely worth it. Okay, so that was all for this video. If you want to check out the 3070 review, a card which is slightly better than this GPU, that will be over here, and we'll meet in the next one.